Welcome to the pine forests of southern Georgia. Great country for two of my favorite animals to hunt, white-tailed deer and feral hogs. Hi, I'm Craig Boddington. On this episode of the Boddington Experience, we're going to visit my buddy Zack Aultman in his Aultman Forest. Thanks to great management, this is a wonderful country for southern whitetails, and thanks to an accident of both man and nature, it's infested by feral hogs. Stay with us for an action-packed Boddington Experience in the Georgia Pines. This episode of BodX is brought to you by Global Sportsman's Network.
Craig Boddington, decorated Marine, award-winning writer, hunter, adventurer. He's explored 6 continents to hunt over 300 species of big game, and he's not done yet. This is the Boddington Experience.
This is my buddy Zack Aultman's deer camp in southern Georgia. Now, Zack's not an outfitter, this is family land, but he's put in a really comfortable camp, and in addition to timber, they manage their place for deer. You hear about the Georgia pines, and that's what we're in. This is a pine forest. It's not natural, it's been planted, and it's fantastic for habitat. Timber companies have tremendous acreage, and they allow a lot of public hunting on that, sometimes for a fee, sometimes not, but gives great opportunity. Now, this is a private forest, and it's really a fairly sterile environment. There's not a lot of feed for the deer here in the pine forest itself, and so the surrounding croplands and the power line rights of way where they can plant food plots and where the edge habitat grows become really important for the deer. But as far as bedding cover and sanctuary, man, the forest is it, because here in the middle of the forest, it's almost impossible to hunt deer. It's just too thick, there's no visibility. Zack, have you seen the Leopold's new custom reticles? This is a VX6, and I pretty much just sent them the bullet I'm shooting and the velocity, and they basically took the old turret off and put this on. Now, not being much of a gunsmith, we'll see if I did it right. Okay, I got her dialed up. We're going to try the pig at 4.
Shooting the shoulder?
Yep.
Just on the left edge of the bullseye.
All right. The whitetail's a pretty versatile creature and is found in so many different habitats. And every place you go, you hunt him just slightly differently. My buddy Zack calls this his super stand, and he built it, looks more like a Forest Service tower. He built it to command this power line right away. And here in the Georgia pines are great bedding cover, but there's not much to eat in there. So the deer come out into what open areas there are. And in this particular area, this broad power line right-of-way is a really important piece of habitat, critical for hunting as well. They put food plots all along the power line, and then they build really tall stands so that you can actually command that power line. Now, this is a place where you want a rifle that's got a little bit of reach. Zack, when I was a kid growing up in Kansas, we didn't have any deer at all, but even here in Georgia, whitetails were pretty scarce when you were a boy. What happened?
In 1954, the high school Future Farmers of America actually went to Wisconsin and hauled deer back down here, turned them loose in the southern part of the county. And a little earlier than that, my grandparents brought some deer in from Virginia and had them in the north part of the county, had them in a large pen. Some of them escaped, and I guess eventually all of them were turned loose, and weren't many, very few. We opened our first season in 1963. And they opened it for 1 year and closed it for several after that. They almost wiped out the deer the first year they hunted them. I saw the first deer I ever saw on this place in 1966.
Wow. You come a long ways.
Well, we have. We started really hunting deer up here in the late 70s.
Zach, what are you doing to manage your deer today?
We used to try to harvest somewhere between 150 and 200 annually, and we've cut that back to probably 60 or 70 now. Burning, planting food plots. Every time we cut an area, we try to put a food plot in.
Zach, how do you feel about your buck herd today?
We think we've got a pretty good ratio, probably 3 to 1 does to bucks. We hope it's down around 2 to 1, and think it's in that range.
When I first came here, I kind of looked around, saw the deer at your lodge. It looks like you've walked into a place in Alberta or Saskatchewan. I mean, these are just fantastic. You don't think of deer like this being southern whitetails.
Well, every deer you see in any of these houses came off this place, with the exception of that old one by the door, but it was killed in the same county.
Well, thanks again. It's so good to be here again. You know, since I've been coming here, your pigs have just seemed to have increased dramatically. Do you know why?
Well, from what we've been told by some of the local biologists, they average 5 litters every 2 years. You know, they can have 8, 10, 12 pigs in a litter, and they really got no natural enemies around here.
No, I suppose not.
So, and as thick as these woods are, you can't see them to shoot them all. So they multiply. It's like the old penny a day. We're losing ground.
It's amazing. I'll see if I can help.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
My buddy Zack has great stands and they're very well situated, but he's trying very hard to manage his deer. He really wants a mature deer shot, which is correct and proper, but boy, it's incumbent on you to be really sure, and sometimes it's hard.
The afternoon passes slowly and it's a quiet afternoon for deer movement, but hey, with dark coming on, maybe the pigs will come out.
Big spotted hog is the biggest one. Let's see if a boar comes out. Down. For some reason, these pigs have just infested this area. When I first started hunting here, there were pigs, but nothing like the hundreds and hundreds that are actually here now. They've really bred up incredibly in the last 10 years. And they like them to be taken whenever there's a chance. Let's go see what this one looks like. It's a big-bodied pig.
You know, I've shot a lot of pigs, and if you're doing population control, what you really need to do is shoot the sows. The meat's better. A mature sow like this old gal could have, as Zach said, and they average 5 litters in 2 years, 10 to 12 piglets in the litter. Now, the survival rate isn't extremely high, but there's not a lot of predators in this area. The farmers and the ranchers sure don't like it much. So, great opportunity to take a mature sow and help out a little bit, and it was kind of fun too. You know, we talk about SCI First for Hunters, and it really is. And the SCI Foundation is really first for wildlife. And if you're a hunter, this is an organization you need to belong to. Now, we're standing on a ridge in some great whitetail country with my friend Kendall Kelso from K&K Outfitters, one of the premier free-range whitetail outfitters here in the state of Kansas. But the place you can meet a guy like Kendall is the SCI Convention. It's the #1 hunters marketplace in the whole world.
You can visit with your outfitters, your guides. You can kind of pick where you want to go, and you can also cross-reference different outfitters and different programs. It's just a great show.
It doesn't matter where you're shopping for a hunt. That's the marketplace where you can really go around and meet people and find out where you want to spend your hard-earned dollars and have a great hunting trip.
It is.
We're going to go to the power line?
We're gonna go to the power line, to what we call the super stand. Probably one of our best.
Cool.
All right, Craig, we're gonna light this smoke bomb and see which way the wind's blowing here and not rely on the telephone. So.
Is that good or bad?
That's good. That's good. That's what we were hoping for. I think we're good to go.
Thank you, sir.
One of the things I like about hunting down here is the weather's usually not brutal, but it's damp air and it can get really cold in that half hour before and the first half hour after dawn, so I'm bringing a heater this morning.
If you see an animal from a blind, your chances of actually being able to use a rangefinder, that depends on where it is and what the time is. But when I get into a blind, especially if it's an unfamiliar place, what I like to do is I like to range everything in sight, and then I try to memorize the distances of major landmarks so that if you see an animal, you don't really have to go through that step. You already know. It's an odd group. There's 3 very mature gobblers, and one's kind of a Jake. The other one has a little tiny beard about like that. So they're actually different age groups. Every day is different, and we had a little bit of movement at dawn, but nothing since. And so I think it's probably time to call it a morning and maybe get back early this afternoon. The way the moon is, I think afternoon movement is a little more likely. No doubt they've been out feeding all night, and they're tired. You know what? So am I.
On this week's Medical Minute, Dr. Sadaf Khan is going to talk to us about tick bites.
The tick bite itself isn't the problem, it's the tick-borne diseases associated with those ticks that will cause problems, such as Lyme's disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Those are the kind of things we want to avoid. So prevention, I recommend people wear long pants, loose clothing that's light so you can identify the ticks. Also tucking those pants into socks, that'll help prevent your skin being exposed. You want to avoid, obviously for hunters it's hard to avoid the bushes, but stick to trails. And there are products that can help you repel those ticks. Permethrin is one such product that you can apply to clothing, which will help repel it. The other product is actually DEET, which you can apply to exposed skin. And certainly it's now recommended for children as well. Up to about 30% is what's recommended for the DEET.
Now these are just two products that our buddies at African Sporting Creations happens to sell in their catalog, but you get the idea. This one goes on your clothing, and this one goes on your skin directly.
Once you find a tick, it takes up to about 2 hours after exposure to skin for them to attach. So you want to get them off before they actually attach themselves. So you want to check yourself every 24 hours, you want to shower. These will help remove them. Once they've attached, you really do need to get them off because they'll start the feeding process, and that's when you can catch a tick-borne illness. What I like to recommend is using tweezers or forceps, a commercially available tick removal product. So grab them as closely to the skin as you can, then you want to pull away and upwards in a steady, constant motion, no jerking. What you don't want is for the mouth parts to remain, but it's not a disaster if they do because they will not be transmitting the disease. So you can remove those later with a needle or some other appropriate action. What you want to do after that is make sure that you haven't crushed the body of the tick because that can contain the infection. At this stage, cleanse the area with some antibiotic wipes, clean it with soap and water, and then apply a dressing and make sure that doesn't become infected. If you develop a round bullseye type of a rash that's red, that may be the first sign of Lyme's disease. And at that stage, you want to get to your physician to get the appropriate and definitive treatment, which is antibiotics.
All right, thank you very much.
I'm Dr. Sadaf Khan. I'd like you to enjoy the outdoors safely, and I'd like you to take your Global Rescue card with you.
Well, that wind's down a little bit from this morning.
Maybe it'll stay down.
Yeah, it should.
Stay out of the northwest.
What have you seen around this stand?
Well, we've got 2 10s and an 8 that we've seen regularly here. The 8's been more on the right side and the 2 10s on the left. 1 10's kind of short and medium length tines, heavy, wide. The other one's got longer tines.
Oh.
Let's hope the big 10 shows up.
Let's do.
Over the years, I've spent a lot of mornings and a lot of evenings here on Zack's power line. It's an exciting place. You can see an awful lot farther than you could possibly shoot, but man, it's a great place and you never know what might step out or when. I'm carrying the LAW and 300 Winchester Magnum with a 180 grain Hornady SST, and yeah, that's a lot of gun for whitetail, but hey, here on this power line, you don't know how far you might have to shoot.
That's a decent 8-pointer, but you know, there's bigger bucks here. I don't think that's the big 8-point he was talking about. That's a decent 8-pointer. Not a bad buck at all. Meow. He's down. That nice 8-pointer. He's outside his ears. He's heavy. He's rutted down. His body looked younger than I thought. And then I could see his neck and his face, and he's older than I thought at first. That cat meow almost always gets him to stop. A grunt call will work just as well. But okay, let's go see what we got.
Oh yeah, that is a beautiful 8-pointer. Whitetail hunting is a low light game. It's crack of dawn or right at dusk, and so while a good rifle is always important, and I've got a good rifle here with the LAW Professional, it's really all about optics. A good scope is absolutely essential. I've got a Leupold VX 6.2-12 on this. Didn't need the magnification, but I tell you what, with whitetails, you really do need the light gathering capability of a good scope. It has a duplex reticle with the fire dot illumination system, and I tell you, when the light starts to go, that red dot really speeds your aim and makes you a lot more precise. It's very important. Great whitetail.